introduce? Seeing none. I think at this time we're going to have staff introductions. We'll start out with David Weiss.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. David Weiss with the Revisor's Office. So we are the bill drafters, of course. We were Jesse and I will be staffing again. We've been doing the Ways and Means for a few years now. So if you have any bill requests or any proviso language and all that good stuff, just come see one of us.
Thank you, David and Jesse. Next, we'll have Dylan Deere. Dylan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. For the record, my name is Dylan Deere. I'm the Assistant Director for Fiscal Affairs at the Legislative Research Department, and we have all of our fiscal staff here today to introduce you, and they'll mention some of the budgets they're going to be handling. So you're going to get to know them quite well over the next couple of months, but we're always here and available to answer any questions that you might have. There's Megan.
Are they wanting to introduce themselves?
I mean, it's always, of course,
Yes.
up to you, sir.
No, I think that'd be beneficial. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Good morning. I'm Megan Leopold. This is my 5th session with KLRD. My budgets are KDHE Health, Board of Nursing, Pharmacy, and Healing Arts, and the EMS Board.
Good morning, committee. My name is Stephen Wu. I believe I've worked with a lot of you, so a lot of familiar faces on this committee. I've been with KLRD since, I think, 2015 or so. Have the budgets for the Department of Administration, Labor, CAPERS, as well as the newly created State 911 Board. So if you have any questions on those or on any other fiscal-related item, please feel free to reach out. Thanks.
Good morning. My name is Shirley Kane. I am a senior fiscal analyst. This is my 5th legislative session. My agencies are the Board of Accountancy, the Board of Tax Appeals, the Pooled Money Investment Board, the Office of State Treasurer, the Department of Revenue, and the Department of Commerce. And I will also be helping with staffing Senate Ways and Means, so I will see you every day. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Julia Kofoid. I'm a legislative fellow, so this is my 1st session. I have the Abstractors Board of Examiners, the Board of Barbering, the Dental Board, the Kansas Guardianship Program, and the Kansas Board of Hearing Aid Examiners.
Good morning. My name is James Fisher. I'm the IT manager for the Legislative Research Department. This is my 9th session, my 4th with a budget, and you'll see me for the Office of Information Technology Services and in various policy committees.
Good morning. My name is Jacob Klesby. I am a legislative fellow with KLRD. This is my 1st legislative session, and you will see me for the Real Estate Appraisal Board, Real Estate Commission, Board of Cosmetology, Board of Technical Professions, and the Human Rights Commission. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Dayton Lemunion, Senior Analyst with Research. I'll be handling the budgets for the Department for Aging and Disability Services and the 4 state hospitals, as well as the Behavioral Sciences Regulatory Board. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Kyle Anderson, and as my 1st year as fiscal analyst, I am covering Adjutant General, Highway Patrol, Bureau of Investigation, Department of Transportation, and State Fire Marshal, and I will also be helping staff this committee. Thank you.
Good morning, committee. My name is Brianna Horton, fiscal analyst. This is my 3rd session. My budgets are the Kansas Board of Regents, all the universities, and then I also staff the Joint Committee on State Building Construction.
Good morning. My name is Ariana Waddell, and I am staffing, well, my assignments are the Office of Attorney General, the Office of the State Bank Commissioner, the Kansas Department of Credit Unions, the Governmental Ethics Commission, the Kansas Insurance Department, and the Office of the Secretary of State.
Good morning. My name is Jennifer Light. This is my third year with KLRD, and I will be covering the State Board of Education, State Library, and State Historical Society for you. Hello, everyone. I'm Amanda Prosser. This is my third session. I will be presenting the budgets on Department for Children and Families, Office of the Child Advocate, both state schools for the blind and deaf, Mortuary, Board of Mortuary Arts, Optometry Fee Fund, and the Healthcare Stabilization Fund. And I'm also staffing House Appropriations.
Hi, members of the committee. My name is Molly Pratt. This is my third session with KLRD, and I will be reviewing the budgets of the Board of Indigent Defense Services, the Judicial Branch, Judicial Council, Office of Administrative Hearings, Kansas Racing Gaming Commission, Kansas Lottery, and the Kansas Office of Veteran Services. I'm also the coordinator for the Expanded Lottery Act Revenue Fund, and I facilitate the House Committee on General Government Budget, as well as the Joint Committee on Special Claims Against the State.
Morning, Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Nicole Rencher. This is my second session. The budgets that I'm presenting are the Kansas Department of Corrections, the Sentencing Commission, and the Kansas Commission on Peace Officer Standards and Trainings.
Committee, especially new members, we have great staff here, just so you know, and we're very fortunate to have the staff that we have. Jesse, would you like to? You're the only one we missed.
Good morning, committee. My name is Jesse, and if you can't get a hold of David, you can come to me. Thank you.
Thank you. I think you all probably know Shirley, but if you haven't met Shirley, would you like to introduce yourself?
Good morning, committee. I'm Shirley Morrow, and I'm the director at Legislature.
Thank you all for taking time to introduce yourselves and let us know which committees and agencies you staff. Committee, we have a copy of the committee rules. If you would all take them with you, and if you have any questions or any issues with anything, these are the same rules we've had basically for 8 years. So look them over, and if there's anything that you do see an issue with, feel free to holler at us. Next we'll have a presentation by Dylan Deere on the modified budget process. We've changed our process this year, and so I'll have Dylan explain some of the changes. Dylan, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So mostly I want to make myself available to answer questions. I know there's probably a lot of questions about what's going on at this point. So at the direction of the Legislative Coordinating Council, a 2024 Special Committee on Legislative Budget, which is different from our regular LBC, met 5 days over the interim and developed a legislative budget position, okay? That legislative budget position was largely based upon the agency request, but there were several major adjustments made to those agency requests. All enhancements and supplementals were removed from that request. Salary adjustments, like global salary adjustments being requested by agencies, were removed from the request. There was select SGF reappropriations removed from that request at the request of Chairman Waymaster. And there was also adjustments made to the Economic Development Initiatives Fund, removing some EDIF reappropriations and also reducing expenditures in FY 2026 because the balance of that fund was negative based upon the agency request. So this basically was an adjustment to bring that to a positive balance. for the Economic Development Initiatives Fund. It is my understanding that at the direction of the LCC, that will be the starting point for deliberation upon the budget for the legislature. For the House side, okay, this will allow them to begin deliberation on the budget at a much earlier point. In fact, they're beginning budget hearings now this week. As my understanding from speaking with Chair Billinger, that deliberation on the budget, which has historically occurred simultaneously both in the House and in the Senate, will now occur first in the House. The budget bill will then be referred to Senate Ways and Means sometime in the middle of February, most likely. And then there will begin deliberation on the budget in the Senate, more like a traditional policy bill that we are most commonly familiar with, instead of having sort of having agencies present like sort of simultaneously in two different places. It'll happen, you know, in a more typical policy bill fashion. There is, regarding the governor's recommendation, as soon as we have a full copy of the governor's recommendation, we have been asked to identify those places where the governor's recommendation differs from the Legislative Budget Committee recommendation and come up with a list of those to present to both the House Appropriations Committee and to the Senate Ways and Means Committee for your consideration and incorporation at your discretion. With that, I would sort of stand for questions on where we are.
Thank you, Dylan. Questions? Senator Petty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Dylan, I think I understood correctly what you were saying, but I was on that committee, and my understanding was that we were starting with, well, actually, that House bill's already been introduced, hasn't it? 2107 is
HB 2007, that's correct.
2007. The budget as it was passed last year without any of the one-time money in it, and correct?
So I probably would not describe it that way. I know there's a lot of things that were said.
I was trying to remember what we voted on, so.
And so the budget summaries, which were presented to that committee, were based upon the agency's request. Okay, so that means what they asked for. Then it backed out at the direction of the committee, all of those enhancements and supplementals. We always showed, for all those comparison lines, we always showed the previous year's approved budget, and we did the analysis to bring us to that point. Okay, but unless a member of that LBC committee like voted to remove one of the additional adjustments, they were left in. And the reason, you know, the reason that conversation occurred was because there's a lot of adjustments that occur every year, particularly in FY 2026, just to adjust for group health insurance rates and CABRS contributions and increase in telecommunication costs and increased fuel, and all that stuff is kind of built into the budget allocations. Okay, and so all of that is in HB 2007, all those sort of like baseline adjustments. I'm not going to use the word base budget because that is loaded with a lot of different meanings.
Normal growth.
But all the normal sort of growth that you would normally see in a budget, all of that has been incorporated into that HB 2007, with the exception of those SGF reappropriations lapses. Those have been removed. EDIF adjustments, okay, those adjustments may not necessarily incorporate that, and that's definitely something that this committee and the House Appropriations is going to have to look at.
And no enhancements.
No enhancements, all enhancements and supplementals have been removed.
And then, and you said that after the governor's State of the State, that presentation, then your staff is going to summarize those? So
it is typical for us to present the governor's recommendation. Of course, you know, if there's an explanation of why, that always will fall in the governor's office. You know, we're just passing along the data that's in there. But what I have asked our team to do is, when we have a full copy of that governor's recommendation, to identify each point of difference. So if the governor, all she did is just like concur in the agency request, you would see no changes that the governor has from the current LBC recommendation. And so you would have no bullet points. But if the governor deleted something that the LBC committee did not delete, or added something, okay, that the LBC, you'll have that list. Okay, so you'll be able to have it for your consideration and incorporation.
So, Mr. Chairman, as a follow-up, thank you, Nylan. So I'm kind of still at a loss as to what then we're going to do, because actually we're going, as was mentioned, I thought earlier, that the House is going to work HB 2007. And then after they've worked it and passed it out through the regular process, and then it's going to come to us. And so how will we then, will we have the governor's recommendations presented to us prior, or will we look at those once it's the House has dealt with the bill? Could you elaborate on that?
Well, the list that Darlene and the staff are going to compile is going to have all these differences. And we're not just going to sit here while the House is working. We're also going to be working, and we will target those up front, the big items. You know, for instance, the proposal for a new prison in Hutchinson. You know, that'll be something that we'll go ahead and look at ahead of all this and things like that. So we'll get the lists and we'll go over them and try to answer questions. We have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, Senator Erickson's been on here before, so I don't count her as a new one, but then, you know, we got half the committee is new, and so there'll be a lot of questions, and so we're going to try to get to a point where everybody can answer questions and we can look at these larger items.
Thank you.
Darlene,
So unless anyone else has any questions about the procedure, Stephen Wu was going to give you a brief overview. Those people who are on the interim committee have already seen these, but this is kind of a new budget summary for this year that is different from the regular budget analysis. The expedited sort of process that we're under prevents us from doing that giant document, but we've sort of tried to boil it down to just those core elements of the budget analysis, and Stephen's going to talk about it.
Thank you, Darlene.
Good morning, committee.
Stephen?
Good morning, committee. For the record, Stephen Wu, Legislative Research. So I'm just going to touch on this very briefly. I'm going to talk about some high-level changes from the documentation you've received from us in the past. This is what the front page of the budget summary document will look like. For those that were on the Special Committee on Legislative Budget, this is the same document that was presented before that committee, just filled out with that committee's recommendations. Compared with last year's full budget analysis, there are a handful of differences from them. That document, I'm going to go over those very briefly. The first major difference is that whereas in previous years we included the governor's recommendation as a distinct line, here instead, because of the expedited process, we have included the legislative budget committee's recommendation instead. So you'll see columns with those recommendations and totals, as well as some detail on what those recommendations were. The other main difference is that in previous years, we've included a lot of information in the back of the document on what the spending on each program was like, what funds went into it, what those funds were spent on. Due to the expedited process, we neglected to include that in this year's publication. Like the title suggests, this is very much a summarial document, it's a summary of what is in that budget. That said, all this information is still available if you would like. So if you are curious about program spending on a particular agency, feel free to reach out. Any of our analysts would be happy to help with that. So with that said, would be happy to answer any questions on this document now or at any time in the future.
Anyone have any questions? Senator Peck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Historically, we have had historic information as the sort of a graph on the number of FTEs and money. Will that continue to be a part of those?
Yes, sir. There is a table in the very back on every single one of these that will include 10 years of expenditures, 10 years of FTE positions, 10 years of what the SGF allocation, what the SGF appropriation was, as well as what is included in the agency request. So that information is still in here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Owens. Anyone else? Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Stephen, thank you for your presentation. Performance-based budgeting. Is all the departments have one of those, and can we request that?
Sure.
As part of the deal too. So
I believe, I'm going to turn this over to Dylan.
Chairman, So we have received the submissions from the agencies on performance-based budgeting. We have created the initial run of the publication, and we expect it to be posting to our performance-based budgeting interface this week. So to make those available, if you want to see the performance budgets simultaneously with the presentation of the budget summaries, we can do that for you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Stephen. Dylan, thank you. Committee, that is all we had for today. We might just quickly, and there's new members here. I think everybody knows everybody, but we'll just start down here with Senator Peterson.
Mike Peterson, 28th District, South Sedgwick County.
Larry Alley, Senate District 32. That's Cali, Sumner, Butler, part of Butler, Harper, and a little bit of Sedgwick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Virgil Peck, Senate District 15. I butt up against Senator Alley to the east. I have Chautauqua County, Elk County, Montgomery County, which is my home county. Independence is a county seat to give you an idea geographically. And then two additional counties, Labette County and Neosho County. On the other side, I butt up against Senator Schallenberger. And then to the north of me is Senator Tyson. And also part of the district I represent butts up against Senator Fagg. So I've got some great neighbors, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Rick Clu, the new District 3, Southeast Shawnee County, West Lawrence, West Douglas, Franklin County, including Ottawa, and then all of Osage County.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Mike Fagg, I am District 14, which is the northern half of Butler, and then I've got Greenwood, Chase, Marion, and McPherson, so I kind of wrap on the northeast side of Wichita. I butt up to quite a few of these guys, and I feel like I'm honored to be around. I think you got some great representation on here, and we got the best chairman in the building. Thank you.
Certainly, Steven Owens. I almost said Representative Steven Owens because, 6 years in the House. Senator Steven Owens now. I come to you from the House. I represent all of Harvey County and northern Sedgwick County, replacing Senator McGinn, who was a long time on this committee as well and have served for 6 years on the Appropriation Committee in the House. So this is the committee I'm probably the most familiar with out of my new assignment. So look forward to working with each of you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Renee Erickson, Senate District 30, Sedgwick County, and I have East Wichita, Derby, and down to Mulvane. And I would just like to say I do not butt up against Senator Peck's district, but we frequently butt heads. And I look forward to being back on Ways and Means, and Mr. Chair, I just want to thank you. Previously, Senator Fagg and I were the freshmen on this committee, and it was so big. We actually sat, we called it the kids' table in the back, so it's refreshing to be at the big people's table. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Pat Petty, 6th District. I represent Wyandotte County and Johnson County. And I do remember when you were at the kids' table, and there was grumbling going on back there or lack of a mic or whatever. I am the ranking minority on Senate Ways and Means, and I've kind of forgotten how many years I've now been on here. I think 7 or 6. And I'm pleased to be the ranking minority. And although I don't border everybody, I do often, of course, butt heads with many of you.
Thank you all for introducing yourselves. And if there's anyone that doesn't know, I am Senator Rick Billinger from the 40th District, and I represent 14 counties in northwest Kansas. I have Cheyenne, Decatur, Rollins, Norton, Phillips, Graham, Sheridan, Thomas, Sherman, Wallace, Logan, Gove, Trigo, and Ellis. Is that all? That's all. Well, I do have 175 miles of I-70, so. Committee, thank you all. I look forward to working with everyone on this committee. I think we're going to have a great committee, as we always do. And if I can be of assistance to any of you at any time, drop in questions, anything else that I can help with, I'm more than happy to help everyone on this committee. So with that, we are adjourned. Tomorrow is at 10 o'clock in the old Supreme Court room. So that's where we'll meet tomorrow. There'll be a joint with the House Appropriations. So until then, we are, wait a minute, Dylan had something else he wanted to say.
So we did introductions. I just want everyone to know, I got his permission to say this. So one person we did introduce was Luke Drury. Okay. Luke's wife had a baby on Christmas Day. All right. So he's on paternity leave right now, but he is answering emails. But if you need to talk to somebody about an ag budget issue, go ahead and call me and I will get it routed to its appropriate location. All right.
Thank you, Dylan. Committee, did anyone else have anything else? If not, we are adjourned. Thank you.